Okay, I don't know what happened on that last video, but I'll check it to make sure. I don't know. But this will be called the Introduction to Algebra video because evidently something happened on that last video. Okay, algebra undoes mathematics. 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. That is what we call arithmetic. X plus 4 is equal to 6. That's what's called algebra. And of course, the process of subtracting 4 on both sides, you get x is equal to 2, which in mathematics, it's right there. Okay, so we find an unknown is what we're doing with algebra. Now, we're not going to talk about solving equations yet because this is still a basic math review. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of introduction to some of the things that we're doing in algebra. First of all, algebra is made up of terms, expressions, and equations. All right, terms are made up of a coefficient and a variable. Coefficient is a 25-cent word for a number. And a variable is a 25-cent word for a letter. And that letter stands for something. Okay? So an example of a term in algebra is 2x to the 0 power, 2x to the first power, and I'm going to just change some, 4x to the second power, 3x to the negative 1 power, 1/2 x to the 4th power. Those are all terms, and they're made up of a coefficient. We'll highlight coefficient in green. There's the coefficient. And a variable. And we'll color the variable yellow. Now, if you put several of these terms together, you have an expression. 2x plus 4. 4x squared minus 7. Those are a couple of expressions. I'll give you another one. X to the 4th divided by y to the 6th. That's an expression. Okay? An expression is when you take two or more terms and put them together with an operation. Now, the main thing about the difference between an expression and an equation is an expression does not have an equal sign. And when you work an expression, you're not solving it, you're simplifying it. Okay? An expression can be simplified. It is not solved. When you have an equation, you have an equal sign. And you are solving it for a solution. 2x plus 3y is equal to 7. 2x plus 4x is equal to 8. X squared plus 3x plus 4 is equal to 0. These are all equations. Okay? So, some of the things you're going to be doing in algebra, you're going to be adding like terms. You're going to be simplifying expressions. You're going to be solving equations. And you do that by knowing what terms are what. For example, on the next page, let's say I want to give you the following directions, and I say combine like terms. Okay, it doesn't say solve. Combine is a 25-cent word for add or what? Subtract. That's what combine means. And I give you 4x plus and 2x. So that's my first question. 4x and 2x. So I'm going to combine 4x plus 2x, and that's like 4 boxes of cereal plus 2 boxes of cereal equals 6 boxes of cereal. The only thing that you add when you combine or subtract like terms, okay, add or subtract like terms or combine them, is you look at the coefficient. And when you're combining like terms, the only thing that changes is the coefficient. 4 plus 2 is 6. The X is a label. It's like a label on a can of soup. 4 cans of tomato soup plus 2 cans of tomato soup equals 6 cans of tomato soup. The cans of tomato soup does not change. Let's do another one. Negative 3y and 4y. I'm going to combine those. Negative 3y plus 4y. Again, the coefficients are the only thing that changes. Coefficients are negative 3 and positive 4. You owe $3. You have $4. What's the outcome of owing 3 and having 4? You have $1. And of course, the y doesn't change because it's a label. So that's how you combine like terms. All right, what does simplify mean, Hubert? Well, when you work with a simplifying of algebra, when you simplify algebra, usually you're going to be given something else to go with it. For example, if I tell you to simplify the expressions, they're going to be set up to where you can do something, okay? Like if I give you 2x divided by x, okay? The first thing you're going to say is, well, the x divided by x is equal to 1. That's right. Anything over itself is equal to 1. So this is 2 over 1 times x over x, and the x cancels. X over x is equal to 1, and 2 times 1 is 2. Now, you could do it this way, or you could just say, well, heck, the x's, they cancel, and I'm just left with 2. So either way you do it, you just simplified this expression by canceling the x's. And then I could give you something like this. I could give you 2x plus 4x minus 6x, or minus, I don't want to do that because that'll cancel, minus 2x, minus 3x. Okay? Now, I'm going to simplify that because there's too many x's. I mean, you can combine like terms, and you could say 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 minus 3 is 3x. Now, I just simplified those two expressions. This equal sign is not an equal sign. I'm going to draw an arrow here because I don't want you to get confused. That means that I simplified, and it went from a 2x over x to a 2, and a 2x plus 4x minus 3x. I just condensed all that down to a 3x. And I can give you an exponential. And we're going to go over this in pre-algebra, but if I give you x to the fourth of y to the third over x to the second y to the first? Well, we know by the quotient rule that we studied when we did scientific notation that if you have the bases are the same, these two are the same, and these two are the same, then I can take those two and set them up using the quotient rule of exponents. So that's going to give me x to the 4 minus 2 times y to the 3 minus 1, and that's going to yield x squared y squared. And I just simplified that. Instead of having all of this, I just canceled and simplified and got this. Now, what does all this mean? Well, if I gave you x is equal to 1, and I said, check all these. Well, let's check it. 2x is 1 over 1 is equal to 2. Well, if x is equal to 1, I don't have anything to plug it into, so the answer is 2. 2 is equal to 2. Let's do it on this one, it'll make more sense. 2 times 1 plus 4 times 1 minus 3 times 1. Well, what's 2 times 1? That's 2. Plus 4 minus 3. Well, 2 plus 4 is 6 minus 3 is 3. So my answer is 3. Well, what's 3 times 1? 3. So I got the same answer. I just cut off all the fat. Kind of like a steak with a bunch of fat around it. You kind of trim the fat off a little bit. I just got rid of a lot of the busy work and got it down to its mathematical function. X to the fourth, 1, and y is equal to 1. X is equal to 1. Plug it in. 1 times 1 over 1 times 1 is 1. Or I can come down here and say 1 squared times 1 squared is equal to 1. So I get the same answer. I just trim away a lot of the busy work, a lot of the stuff that you don't see. Something else you might see in algebra is an equation. An equation looks like this. X plus 2 is equal to 4. I'll do all the operations. X minus 3 is equal to 8. 2 times x is equal to 8. And x divided by 4 is equal to 7. There's 4 operations. And when you get into pre-algebra, you're going to learn that you want to get x by itself. That's the objective, being x getting by itself. You want x by itself. And how do you do that? Well, you got to get rid of a positive 2. How do you get rid of a positive 2? You subtract 2. And that gives you x is equal to 2. I just solved this equation. How do you get rid of a negative 3? You add 3. If you add 3 on one side, you got to add 3 on the other, and that gives you x is equal to 11. I just solved that equation. How do you get rid of multiplying by 2? You divide by 2, and x is equal to 4. And I just solved that equation. And how do you get rid of dividing by 4? You multiply by 4 on both sides. And x is equal to 28. So I just solved those 4 equations. Notice they have an equal sign, and you come out with an answer. And that's the difference between a term, an expression, and an equation. And that is a little bit of an intro for algebra.